I kind of forgot Clocktown Day 2. Clocktown? Clocktown Day 2 was kind of so upbeat. Huh. Anyway, last time someone died. Several people. 6? 6. At least 6 people died. Which is great. Honestly, like, that's what we needed. We kind of needed to thin out some people because I was getting tired of doing, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 7? I don't remember. A lot of voices. Many voices. 18? 18! No, 19. Wait, did I fuck up? Oh man. Okay, I completely fucked up, I think. I didn't. Okay, let me start with the families. 2 parents, 1. 2 parents, 1. 6. 1 parent, 1 child, 8. 2 parents, 1. 8 plus 3 is 11. Okay, so we got 11 family members plus a dad, so 12. Then we've got Shanon Kanon, 13, 14. Kaoda, 15. Kumasawa, 16. Genji, 17. Wait. I don't know. I'm just gonna get into it. Let me pull it up right now. One sec. I can't count people. Which is really sad because this game is like, can you count people? And I'm like, no. I really can't. I tried, buddy, but I can't do it. Let's mute that. Maybe shouldn't have muted it that fast. Whoa. Translation based on witch hunt. No one can see this. It's so. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Let me move myself, make myself smaller. Even smaller. Back. Front. Small. Minuscule. So fucking small. Let me move this over. Ah, yes. Perfect. Umineko no Naku ni. Start? Yes. Start. Load. Where were we? Second save. That's pretty good. We made good progress. How long did we play? Hopefully I saved. I'm getting the sneaking suspicion I didn't save. No, I did. Let's go. Okay. All that could be heard was the sound of the rain, the voices from the kids' TV program Maria was watching, and the engrossed Maria's cackling voice. In other words, what greeted them as they returned dumbfounded from the horrible, bizarre scene was the voice Maria rolled she as around laughing TV. There we go. Was the voice of Maria as she rolled around laughing at the TV. Those who returned to the room didn't know how to explain to Maria that her mother was dead, and were trapped by a suffocating silence. Maybe I should up the desktop volume. I don't know. We'll do it at that for now. Yeah. At first, Maria returned their stares with a dubious look. But when she realized they weren't trying to blame her for anything, she ignored them and immersed herself in the TV program. No, it was too loud. The children wordlessly sat down heavily on the sofa. Uh-oh, what's my computer doing? It's fine. Their minds were probably blank from their state of shock. Everyone had cried and mourned so much, but now they just vaguely sat there, their faces seeming to have lost all emotion. Only Kanon had returned to his usual calm expression. However, that probably didn't mean he'd been able to wipe out the shock. Oh god, reading is so much fun. I read earlier today in preparation of this, god damn. Nothing was reflected in his eyes as he stared into empty... Oh yeah? Baby. Baby bot. As he stared into empty space. Hideyoshi kept on fidgeting, and every time he remembered that horrible scene, he started muttering about how he couldn't believe it, how it couldn't have been something from this world, how it must have been the work of demons. Every now and then, his mutterings produced a question directed at Nanjo, but the latter kept repeating in a calm, doctor-like manner that nothing could be understood by only glancing at the scene, and that until the police arrived, they wouldn't learn anything. However, Nanjo only appeared calm next to Hideyoshi, who simply couldn't suppress his agitation and fear. In fact, Nanjo had also received a huge shock, and his face was a deathly pale. Maybe that atmosphere was why she tried to rise to the challenge and take charge. Natsuki appeared to be unchanged from her normal attitude, as she briskly gave directions. I will go see father. Genji, quickly contact the police. Certainly. I wonder if you would allow me to tag along, Natsuki-san. Since Kraus-Nissan is now gone, the task of aiding father has been left to me. It would be improper of me to relax here while relying entirely on you. Natsuki was struck speechless by Ava's aggressive move in a situation like this. She seemed to be claiming that, with Kraus dead, the one to take responsibility shouldn't be his wife, but herself, the next highly ranked in the family. Or maybe she hadn't been all that happy when Natsuki took command without reference to her in such an extreme situation. However, even Ava's mind had been blank from shock until a moment ago. She only came to her senses after Natsuki started giving orders. Just do as you like. Natsuki started walking without saying a word more. Ava followed behind her. As they did, Kumasawa ran into the parlor. She usually wasn't the kind of person to run around, so under normal conditions, most people would have taken her entrance as a sign that something was the matter. But because everyone was still stricken with shock, they hardly even noticed her. Madam? If you're looking for Natsuki-san, she went to see father. She'll probably be back soon. What happened, Kumasawa-san? That is... In the dining hall. Blood! Blood! Everyone thought the same thing. I hope I misheard that. Any container can hold only so much, and no one here would be capable of handling another tragedy. They all thought it. I hope I misheard that. What happened? In the dining hall? When I went to the dining hall to set up for breakfast. The first one to start running was George. His harsh footsteps jogged Hideyoshi and Nanjo to their senses, and they chased after him. Battler and the others followed. They flew into the dining hall one after another. They didn't find any change that might have caused Kumasawa to go pale. To those who had viewed that gruesome scene in the storehouse, it was a bit of an anticlimax. However, Kumasawa who had followed them, pointed it out. There really were some traces of blood remaining on the floor. Compared to that terrible scene, it wasn't very impressive. However, if you calmly thought about it, this definitely indicated the loss of a lot of blood. There's another puddle of blood over here. What in the world? It appears that a great deal of time has passed. It's probably safe to say that they were killed here last night. It definitely looks that way. We're talking together in the dining hall until late into the night. After that, someone must have forced their way in. Dad, when did you and Mom slip out of the meeting and go to sleep? It was a little past midnight. So, should probably assume it happened after that. You kidding me? Give me a break. Lady, please, stay strong. After seeing the hell on earth in the storehouse, this is nothing. Really? Good for you. I feel like my dad's... Oh god, sorry. I was doing a little too much introspection. I feel like my head's going to explode. This is the dining hall, right? Every day this is where I'd eat. Complain about school, complain about homework. Talk to my dad about my grades. That's what this place is to me. Milady, it wouldn't be good to remain here any longer. Let's return to the parlor. I agree. Uncle Hideyoshi, I think this room will be really important to the police. Don't you think it would be bad if we trampled all over it? Butler proposed it in a slightly firm voice as, along with Kanon, he grabbed the pail and shaking Jessica's shoulders. Everything is just as Butler-san has said. There is nothing more to be gained here from remaining in this room. Nanja spoke while looking at everyone's pale faces. Even though that horrible scene in the storehouse felt like something not of this world, at least when they've been able to leave, cut ourselves off from that place and run away, everyone had shared in on that feeling. What did that just say? I literally blacked out. Even though that horrible scene in the storehouse felt like something not of this world, at least then we'd be able to leave, to cut ourselves off. Oh, okay. However, this dining hall was different. It was in the mansion, the main building on this estate. And as Jessica had said, it should have been one of the most calming places even inside the mansion. It was where all of the relatives have eaten lunch and dinner yesterday. The shock of seeing this place smeared with blood reminded us of that horrible spectacle in the storehouse, and forced us to accept that we hadn't really been able to run away from the scene of that tragedy. I agree too. The culprit must have left traces in this room. Amateurs like us shouldn't stir up the place. Blow the place up. Let's leave quickly. Quickly! Like I said, move! Hideyoshi also understood the meaning of what Battler had said, and pushed everyone to hurry out of the dining hall. The way we were then, looking at that blood any longer would have been too harsh. Nobody went against his words. Everyone raced each other out of the dining hall. It was almost as though the last person in the room would be trapped in there, all alone. I lower it, yeah. Once in the hallway, we lent a hand to Kumasawa, who was still trembling and leaning against the wall, and we all headed back to the parlor together. I don't know, like, because it's so fucking faint, the rain sound. Then Genji returned. Oh, Genji-san. Genji-san, oh my god, bestie! Were you able to contact the police? As to that, I'm afraid I must apologize. I don't know if it was a failure of the radio or something else that caused it, but... What the... So you couldn't contact the police? Both the phone and the radio failed? My apologies. A boat will be arriving on Monday morning. I believe we'll be able to borrow their communications equipment. Isn't there a boat on this island? Can't we just take a little trip to the Nijima police department? Hideyoshi-san, that would be impossible with this weather. At the very least, we can't do anything until a typhoon passes us by. Kraus-sama's boat is being repaired and is not on the island. Therefore, we must wait for the boat coming on Monday. How could this happen? 6 people are dead! The phones and radios aren't working and there's no boat! So, until the typhoon passes and the boat comes, in other words, until tomorrow morning we're gonna have to be stuck here on this island? Incapable of contacting the police? Unable to contact the police, aren't we? Which means that he didn't say that line correctly. Not just us, but the criminal who killed everyone is also confined to the island. That certainly follows. The culprit who killed everyone is still here on the island. So the bastard who killed Dad and the others must still be hiding somewhere, unable to escape. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it! I'll catch that bastard. No way I'll hand him over to the police. I'll slice him to bits myself. No. Maria had finally realized that something odd was happening in the parlor. Rather than noticing something odd, it was probably better to say she felt unhappy and neglected since everyone was getting so excited about something only she didn't know about.
Ooh, Jessica Oni-chan, did someone die?
The way she spoke was completely calm, just as though she was talking about someone who had appeared on a television drama, as though it was someone else's problem. Jessica probably didn't like that. As though trying to say, "Can't you tell just by looking at me, overwhelmed with grief?" She flared up at Maria.
They all died. Everyone! Everyone! My dad and Battler's parents, Goda-san and Shannon, and even your mother too.
Stop it, Jessica-chan. We're the only one who's sad. Maria-san, I know this will come as a shock, but please listen. Your mother has died.
Mama died? Ooh.
Yeah, someone killed her. I know it's sad, but stay strong.
How many people died? 6 people! 6 people! Damn it, damn it, damn it! How could anyone do something that cruel? There's a limit to how cruel you can be if you're a human. I don't know who it is, but the culprit isn't human. There's no way their blood is red.
Oh fuck. No, don't stop it. Stop it. I know it's gonna fucking happen. Don't you fucking dare. No one's here to fucking... No, you don't understand. You do not understand. This is the scariest fucking thing that happens in this goddamn game. I can't fucking... I don't have it in me to press... I don't have it... I do not have it in me to click. I fucking don't. It's not there. I have all these, like, abilities and all these things I can think of, but, the ability to click forward on this text box does not exist within me. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see her funny little smile. I don't want to see her saccharine little grin. I don't care. If you show me that, I will scream. Oh my god. Okay. Woo! Let's do it!
Ooh, the culprit isn't human. It's just the bitch chosen by the fuck. It's just the damn chosen by the damn. The fuck chosen by the shit. The shit chosen by the
Maria, you can't say that word.
I can say it. You can't though. See you next Tuesday. Doo-doo. The culprit isn't human. It's the chosen by the.
Huh? Hey, Maria, did you say something just now? Maria had just said something, but since the words were so remotely separated from the flow and context of the conversation, I couldn't understand them for a second. When I tried to ask her to repeat it again, she looked at me, and she held out a gun, and she said,
I fucking can't take it anymore. I'm going to
I was shocked by the sudden sound of Aunt Natsu's loud voice coming from the entrance to the parlor. It looked like Aunt Natsu and Aunt Ava had returned from their trip to see grandfather. Oh damn, okay, so no little girl's smiling. Good. You can't contact them, even though you can't contact them, even with the radio. If we can't use it at a time like this, why do we even have an emergency radio? My apologies. It was supposed to have a maintenance inspection every year. Wait, don't you have one of those boat signaling devices to make a flashing light? Couldn't you use that to contact the next island? We do not have such equipment. My sincere apologies. Just then, Kumasawa arrived, pushing a service cart loaded with breakfast. Since there was no way we'd be able to eat in the dining hall, Hideyoshi ordered her to take it to the parlor. Why are we eating breakfast here? Natsu-san. I'll tell you later. Ava, how is father? Judging by the fact that he is not with you, it seems he will not leave his room, not even for a situation like this. He wasn't... Why the fuck can I not have his voice? It's not loaded. Not my brain. He wasn't there. The room was empty. Little drop sound effect. He's gone! However, he does sometimes go out for a walk. Disappeared from his study unnoticed. Kinzo's study has everything from a bed to a toilet to a bathtub, so it's extremely rare for him to go outside. However, he does sometimes go out for a walk on a whim without telling anybody, which on several occasions has led to a huge uproar throughout the house. He usually comes back as soon as he gets hungry. Usually. Look at all these dead people. Dead, 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 dead. Super dead. He wasn't there. The room was empty. What the Witcher the painting? What the? Where could he have gone at a time like this? You mean to say Master has left his study? That is correct. I was surprised myself. I wonder when he left his room. Do any of you have an idea? Natsu looked at Genji and Kanon as she said this. Maybe she was trying to ask whether the servants who had directly under the who served directly under the one-winged eagle, I almost said angel, goddamn, knew of a place he might go. However, it was probably the other way around. Their faces made it clear that those who knew Kinzo best realized even more than the rest how impossible it was for him to leave his room. Even we have no idea. As you know, within that study, the master has everything from a parlor to sleep to a bathroom. I couldn't imagine him leaving that room except for a significant reason. In that case, what? Isn't it natural to assume that one of those significant reasons came up? I still cannot be certain that's the case. Anyway, he is a fickle person, so it's possible that he went for a walk by himself, unaware of the current situation. If that is the case, then we must act in haste to tell him what happened and ask for instructions. That's right. Although I don't want to think about it, it's possible something has happened to him, isn't it? I'd rather not even consider such a sinister possibility. No one had seen Kinzo since the discovery of the 6 terrible corpses. On top of that, the phones were broken, the radio couldn't reach anybody, and there was no way to contact the police. Apparently, the typhoon would leave tomorrow and a boat would come. But until then, no one could rely on anyone outside the island, or could they escape the island. The tragedy had hit everyone so abruptly that they lost all their composure. Everyone felt a heavy silence. Everyone was impatient. Even though they needed to do something, they couldn't think of anything. So some of them held their heads in their arms while others got irritated. Right now, no one could explain what was occurring on this island, Rokenjima.
I can. Me, Maria, I can tell you.
After that, we ate the breakfast Kumasawa-san had made, which felt dry and tasteless, that bitch. Of course, this was right after something like that had happened. No one felt particularly hungry. However, we understood logically, that not eating would weaken our bodies. It would also be rude to Kumasawa-san, who had made the breakfast. Kumasawa-san had taken some of the usual Western vegetables, one that Goda-san had probably ordered for his ultra-elaborate meals, and cooked them in a Japanese style, which made them turn an unpleasant color. As to what Goda-san had been planning to cook with those ingredients, right, then I couldn't even imagine it. If I did think about it, I'd be reminded of the way Goda-san died. A sour taste would fill the inside of my mouth. Just like the dessert we had! Everyone pretended to eat for the time being, but of course no one made much progress. Then, we began pooling our knowledge of the current situation. First off, 6 people, which included Uncle Kraus, my dad, Irie-san, Aunt Rosa, Goda-san, and Shannon-chan, had been found at the Rose Garden storehouse as brutally mutilated corpses. And yet, we still couldn't contact the police, since both the phones and the radio were unusable. So until the typhoon passed, there was nothing we could do. Furthermore, grandfather, who we might have hoped to be able to show a little leadership in this kind of situation, disappeared some time ago. Goda-san hadn't made a breakfast, so grandfather's stomach must have been empty. And if he had just been taking a casual walk, we should have been able to hear him whining about how hungry he was by now. And despite that, he hadn't appeared. There was more than a small chance he'd gotten caught up in this crime. According to my aunts, On the way back from Kinzo's study, they searched for him, calling out on every floor, but were unable to find him. Considering the timing of it all, it's only reasonable to assume that this disappearance had something to do with the crime. We figured Dad and the rest probably killed, were probably killed in the, they probably killed, they slayed, they probably killed, were killed, they were probably killed in the dining hall and then painstakingly moved to the storehouse. So maybe Grandfather has already been killed and dragged to some strange place, which we simply haven't discovered yet. No one actually said it out loud, but his theory seemed extremely convincing. We will go check with all the windows and doors are locked. That all the windows and doors are locked, that's what I said. We must also conduct a thorough search for Father. The children must remain in this room. Eva-san and Hideyoshi-san, I'm sorry, but please stay here with the children. I'd like to ask you the same, Dr. Nanjo. I understand. I'll wait here. Aunt Natsu followed the servants Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, and Kana-kun out of the parlor. All that was left was Aunt Eva, Uncle Hideyoshi, Dr. Nanjo, and the 4 of us children, a total of 7 people. Let's all stick together and maybe watch some television while we wait. Though I doubt we'll find anything good in the middle of the day on a Sunday. Uncle Hideyoshi started acting cheerfully, trying to brighten up this gloomy atmosphere.
Ooh, good show. Watch it, watch it. Ooh.
Ooh. Oh, really? You want to watch TV, Maria-chan? Then come on and watch it with your uncle. Maria was the only one who joined in. Even though Maria had been told of her mother's death, she didn't show the slightest flicker in her emotions. Is it really normal for a 9-year-old girl like Maria to act so much like a very young child? Everyone else's mood failed to improve, and they all each sank absent-mindedly into their sofas. I mean, big doubt that Maria has, like, the concept of death within her as, like, a 9-year-old. Big doubt. Like, I don't even know. Like, if you say, hey, by the way, Maria, your mom's dead, what you gonna do? Be like, oh my god, no, what? Like, what is she gonna do? She'll just be sad her mom's not, like, here. Not, like, understanding the concept, maybe. I'm not sure. 9 years old? Pretty young. Nikki, can I ask you something? What is it? Just now in the storehouse, you said something about Shannon-chan and a ring. Did you give that to her? George Nikki didn't answer, but he hung his head and closed both his eyes. There could be no clearer response. Quit it, Battler. Figure it out yourself. You're right. Shouldn't have asked. Fuck you. Don't play this fucking song, you motherfucker. God damn it. Every time I play this fucking song. That's right. It was me. Last night, I proposed to her. That was when I gave her the ring. I told her that tomorrow, she should put it on whatever finger she wanted. As her answer. Huh. Guess it was a pretty pretentious thing to say. And that ring had been on the ring finger of Shannon-chan's left hand. Well, several years ago, Shannon came to me asking for advice. But you, George Nissan. I wonder what she could have said. Shannon was always really bad at lying. It was pretty obvious pretty quickly that you were the one she was talking about. She asked whether it'd be okay for her to get close to someone, even though she was only a servant. She asked about what kinds of things boys like, what kinds of clothes she should wear to make them happy. Lots of stuff like that. Well, I guess you could say I felt envious hearing her say that. So, she was given an engagement ring, and it all ended right there. I know people value things differently, but being proposed to by a man, well, it can be the high point of your life. So I'm sure. Last night I'm sure Shauna was happy, from the bottom of her heart. Happier than she's ever been since the day of her birth. Orjaniki sighed deeply, without raising his head. Or maybe tears had risen to his eyes. It seems Shanan was on duty in the guest house last night. But because she was too embarrassed to go back to the guest house with me, she went over to the mansion. Think about how Shannon must have felt. When you receive an engagement ring, then no matter how much warning you've been given beforehand, it's perfectly normal to get so excited that your mind goes blank. She must have been incredibly embarrassed. And then Shannon went to the mansion, even though she hadn't been assigned there. Helped Goda-san with his work. Got caught up in this crime. If only I hadn't given her that ring on that day. That place, Shannon wouldn't have been... Sayo wouldn't have been caught up in that crime. Damn, sorry. Aniki. That was a really lame thing to do when you're sad. That's the one place where you're wrong. It's definitely wrong. So don't cry anymore. Battler, no! Battler-kun. Let's leave him be. After Aunt Ava said that, I stopped talking to him. Misplaced words of comfort might actually do more harm than good. Well, Jessica sat down to Aniki, next to Aniki, and put an arm around him. Maybe only Jessica, who had known about Aniki and Shannon's love since the beginning, and who had even discussed that relationship with Shannon, could comfort Aniki now. I went over to Aunt Ava and sat down on the opposite sofa. Battler-kun, you really are strong. It looks like you've kept a good hold on yourself. Well, look, the depth of love becomes the depth of the wound, right? After all, it's not like how that old bastard died has anything to do with me. I feel bad about Kyrie-san, but she wasn't actually my parent. My. If that's so, you certainly were crying a lot back then. Well, I did think at least much crying was due as gratitude to the parent who raised me. The speed of that changeover is that dry tone you must have come from the speed of that changeover and that dry tone must have come from Rudolph. That kid would always get violently happy, sad, and angry, but he'd always regain his cool immediately afterwards. It's nothing like that. I haven't really been able to get over the shock yet. I think the only difference between me and everyone else is the kinds of emotions it stirred in me. What do you mean? I've been acting much calmer than George, Aniki, and Jessica. That wasn't because my sadness was any less intense, because I'd already recovered. My sadness was simply getting replaced gradually with a different emotion. Rather than sad, I'd say I'm more pissed off. What bastard did this and where? It's kind of been eating at me, and I didn't get a chance to smack him upside the face. That's what I really wanted to do. Couldn't forgive myself if I just sat there, overwhelmed with sadness and hugging my knees. Since the time Dad and the others were killed, the island's been covered by the typhoon, which means that bastard responsible for all of this is still somewhere on the island. Yes, that would seem to be the case. I wonder if they're hiding somewhere in the dark forest even now. I felt like I'd had a very similar conversation with Kyrie-san the night before. That's right. After the letter from the person claiming to be Beatrice appeared at the dinner table last night, we talked about whether or not a 19th person actually exists. So there's 18 people. Okay, cool. 19th. Maybe. Who knows? Aunt Ava, do you think this murder has anything to do with the letter from Beatrice last night? Ah, that one. Who did I miss when I was counting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Nanjo's who I missed. I fucking couldn't. For whatever reason, I was like, I don't know who Nanjo is. Ah, that one. Well, I wonder. Drink some water. All of the siblings agreed that the mysterious letter was sent to further complicate the problem of father's inheritance. As to whether that and the case this morning are related, it's impossible to tell at this stage. Was that letter really given to by Maria by some witch called Beatrice?
How could it be? All of it was a farce devised by father, wasn't it? He made Shanan-chan or someone wear that dress from the portrait and trick Maria-chan, right? Isn't that just the kind of overly intricate prank father would pull?
Last night, I talked with Kyrie-san about whether Beatrice was actually exists. And Kyrie-san also said Beatrice was probably one of the 18 of us.
Isn't that obvious? There's no one else on this island besides us, right? Then there must be someone amongst us who's pretending to be a Beatrice.
There's no one else but us on this island. You think?
Obviously, right? Are you saying there could be someone else here other than us? No one is on this island except us. There are only 18 people, so the one pretending to be a Beatrice has to be one of those 18.
Kyrie denied the existence of a 19th person by spinning the chessboard around. Even though Aunt Ava hadn't constructed an argument that complicated, her opinion at least was the same. Except, if that's the case, our situation starts to look very ugly. At the time of Beatrice's letter, the whole thing could be passed off as a prank set up by someone or another. However, we're assuming that there's no 19th person, we can't ignore this anymore. In other words, if there is no 19th person, then the culprit who killed Dad and the others is also one of the 18 of us, right? So in other words, the person who killed them is one of the people inside this very mansion right now.
Bitch, damn. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I kind of fucked up. Maybe I should stop being such a skank-ass bitch, and I shouldn't make people doubt other people, because now he's gonna doubt me. Oh, damn it.
She smiled meaningfully. It looked like she thought this conclusion should have been obvious from the very beginning.
The culprit carried the bodies of those 6 into the storehouse, but even that was an impressive feat, don't you think? The shutter was always closed and locked, right? In other words, in order to carry them from the storehouse, the culprit would need to unlock the shutter. Understand?
Is it possible the shutter was left open by mistake that day?
The servant said it's always kept locked. In other words, unless the culprit took the keys from the servant room, there's no way they would have opened the storehouse.
I wonder if the key in the servant room was the only one.
Genji-san said that was the case, which means the culprit he knew where the single key was and kept it and took it. Just now, I watched when Kanon-kun returned the key to the servant room. The wall was packed with keys, and I don't think a novice would know where or what those keys went to. The culprit was miraculously able to find the storehouse key among those. All of those. Furthermore, even though the key didn't have a tag or anything sticking to it, they knew it was the key to the storehouse behind the rose garden. And that means they also knew where the storehouse was. I'll say it even clearer. The culprit knew the inside of a servant room well. Read my lips, I don't care.
Her argument was extremely plain and clever. If the bodies had been found somewhere, oh my god, had been found thrown somewhere else in the bushes of the rose garden, there wouldn't have been much to go on. However, if there's only one key to the storehouse in the servant room, and it was stored with such a large group of keys, a novice would not be able to tell them apart. This means the culprit was someone who went into the servant room a lot, and was very familiar with the locations of the keys. The family members didn't normally go into the servant room, which means that one of the servants is culprit.
I'm sorry, but even your auntie can't say more than that. However, I'll tell you one thing.
What's that?
It was really bloody in there. I put an overlay on the picture. It's reasonable to think that the culprits are multiple in number and fairly well armed. They'd have to be, wouldn't they? They have to assault the 4 in the dining hall and kill them, drag a total of 6 bodies all the way to the storehouse beyond the rose garden, and arrange for that disgusting markup of graffiti on the shutter. There's no way a single culprit could carry all of that on their own, right?
It made sense. It probably would have been possible for a single person with enough time, but it would take so incredibly long. It's probably safe to assume that a significant number of people were involved. Whoa. So what you mean is that maybe all of the servants were in cahoots?
Please keep it quiet, okay? It wouldn't be right to voice mere speculation like this. And if it really is true, what would you do next? They might not let us leave here alive. This is an opponent who has no trouble killing Nissan and the 3 others. Right now, the only ones I can count on to fight with me are the 3 in my family and maybe you, which comes to a total of 4 people, right? We're no better off than they were last night. In short, it'd be easy for the culprits to massacre the rest of us.
I had been playing detective with Aunt Ava, trying to expose the person who had killed Dad and the rest before the police did. If only I could cleverly penetrate the culprit's identity and stick the proof in their face. I had been so sure that, just like one of those detective movies, the culprit would then give up and surrender. However, the culprit would only surrender if there was no way for them to fight back. The culprits behind the crime on this island were far from helpless, and might even be able to massacre all the remaining people here. On top of that, this island was like a giant closed room, cut off from the outside world by the typhoon. They had a full day, until tomorrow, to kill, scheme, and camouflage themselves. In short, it wasn't a safe atmosphere where we could get very far by playing detective. The contrary, we were all at a stage where we had been scared stiff, since playing detective might displease the culprits, and cause them to commit another mass murder.
Well, it is just a possibility, right? But I can't bring myself to trust the servants yet. And that doesn't really mean I only suspect them. Don't you think there might be some mastermind behind all this?
A mastermind? Why do you say that?
It's just a feeling. Think about the word servant, what the word servant literally means. It means someone who serves as someone's arms and legs, right? It was a bunch of Ushiramiya family members who got killed. So naturally, there must be someone involved who stands to gain from that result. This was so plain and clear. The Ushiramiya family had been right in the middle of the discussions about how to distribute their inheritance when grandfather died. The case followed the standard form of any classic mystery novel. The crime was definitely caused by someone with ties to the Ushiramiya family, and who was involved in the inheritance problem. Aunt Ava had probably read a few books in the genre herself. Her argument may have been had a few blind assumptions in it, but it was a standard conclusion that anyone might have reached. I think most people would end up suspecting the servants, even if they used different reasoning to get there. Especially the story about how the key to the shutter, that made it really easy to suspect one of the servants was involved. And that's why I don't like it. Oh, sorry. And that's why I don't like it. What do you mean you don't like it?
Now I'm just talking to myself. I tried to dodge her question by joking, but couldn't erase a sense of unease welling up inside me. After all, the conclusion was such an easy one to reach. A conclusion that anyone could reach. And I just couldn't be satisfied with that. If I tried spinning the chessboard around like I learned from Kirie-san, this was exactly why a servant couldn't possibly be the culprit. If the servants really were the culprits, they wouldn't hide the bodies in a place connected to themselves. Why on earth would they use a rose garden shed if they were the ones in charge of the key and could unlock it? The police would probably immediately pursue whoever had been in control of the key. It was even possible that some of the other facts might come to light as a result. The more we think of the servants as culprits, the less reason they had to carry the bodies to the storehouse. But what if they knew we'd think that? Put the corpses in the storehouse for that very reason? No, that's completely impossible. When the police come and inspect the scene of the crime, they'll probably be able to uncover many things. No matter how carefully the culprits carried out the murder, some traces will definitely be found. In other words, they had everything to lose and nothing to gain. If you think about it this way and look at this murder game from the culprit's side, it's hard to imagine why they'd call attention to the corpses. Once the corpses were found, it could result in someone sending a report to the police, or it might make the remaining people more cautious, or it might make the survivors want to start to search for the culprit. None of these things would make life any easier to the culprit. It's just like the first words of the main character's mother in a novel I read recently called Higurashi no Kokoro ni Shut the fuck up. Every story needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Eliminating that beginning is essential for the perfect crime. Right now, we don't know where Grandfather is. We don't know if he's really become a victim or if he's one of the culprits. But this state of confusion must be beneficial to the killer. Give me a sec. No, it's not happening. I'm fucking dying, I'm dying. I couldn't even get through an hour. I think this was a failed one. I will do it. I'm gonna do it again on Saturday, tomorrow. But this one, yeah, I went for like an hour. No one's here, but if they were here, I would say my apologies. I'll be back like tomorrow to read more. My voice is just fucking dying. Okay, bye bye.